What's going on, guys? Savage Reptiles. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share. Today, I'll be going over a topic of getting into reptiles or getting over your fear of reptiles, which would allow you to get into this space. So, one of my followers sent me a message and asked, what was the biggest step that I took to overcome my fear of reptiles before getting into them? And I explained to them that I never really had a fear of reptiles. My biggest thing was just a huge misunderstanding of what they were as a species. So I'd say sometime it was around July of 2023. Me and my girlfriend, we had just came back from work. At the time, we were working at Petland together. We had just came back from a cruise, and she sees this banana spider ball python. And at the time, I had no clue about the wobble with spider morphs or anything like that. So she was looking at them. She was like, "Oh, I think I want them." So I was like, "Well, don't buy them today," because I think she was just like about to buy them that day on impulse, especially since she got a discount since we both worked there. I think she was just about to buy them, so I was like, "Don't buy them just yet. Let me do a little bit of research to see what exactly this snake would need to thrive before we just make this purchase." So not even 10 minutes into my research, I see that, this spider morph has a wobble in their genetics. So I'm like, okay, this sounds like something that shouldn't really be for a new keeper for ball pythons. And I told her that I didn't think that that was the best step for her to take, but it wasn't my decision to make. So she decided to not get that one. And then I'd say about 5 to 7 days later, we got another shipment of reptiles, and in came a pied ball python. And one of the other coworkers, they came to me and they was like, "Oh man, you got to see this snake! You got to see this snake!" So I've seen pies before, but I never made a big deal about it, just because I never saw myself keeping snakes ever. Even today, this is still kind of crazy to me, because like a year ago, you couldn't have paid me to do this. Like, this would not have been an option, but now I'm just doing it for free and as an interest. Like, that's crazy. But one of my coworkers came to get me and was like, "You got to see this snake. He's gorgeous." So I go see him, and at the time we still had the banana spider, and I'm taking a look at him, and the guy's pulling him out, and he's like super striky. So at the time, again, I had no information or background knowledge on snakes or reptiles in general. So when he was striking, just as an outlooker, I had that aggressive mentality. I saw him as being aggressive and not defensive. So I was like, "Holy crap, I don't think he's an option. He's super aggressive." And he was like, "Nah, man, he's going to eventually chill out." And I'm just like, "Nah, man, he's never going to chill out. He's striking constantly. He's never going to chill out." And I went and got my girlfriend. I was like, "Come look at the snake, see if this is something that you would want." And this is the same day. And she looked at him. He was like, "Oh, he's gorgeous." So just by the look, I can tell that that's something that she was interested in. So she worked in the kennel space where the puppies were, and I worked in the fish department. And on the other side of my fish department were the reptiles. So I could easily just step off and interact with these animals at any given time when I had downtime, which was a lot of the time. So one of the coworkers, he was like, "Oh, is she thinking about getting them?" And I was like, "I think so." They was like, "Do you want to, try to work with them before she buys them?" So this question presented itself, and I had no idea that it was coming. And I'm like my brain is saying no, but I'm like, you know what? She's never gonna have the time to do it because she's always in the back. And if she just buys this snake like this, and he gets home and he's constantly striking, there's no telling whether she'll keep him or not. So I'm like, you know what? Let me suck it up and try to get hands-on with this animal. So the guy pulls him out for me, and he pulled him out and he didn't strike. So I was like, okay, he didn't even strike at you that time. He was like, "Yeah, I told you he was gonna chill out." And from that day forward, I want to say for about maybe a week and a half straight, every single day, I was pulling him out like twice just to get him used to being handled. Because he came from a male. Reptiles by Mac, I'm not sure if anybody's familiar with him, but a lot of retail pet stores use him, like PetSmart, Petland, Petco. They use him for their reptiles, to, their live animals. And I don't recommend it, but I'm glad that she did purchase him, kind of rescued him in a sense. But very gorgeous snake, and it didn't take him long to get used to being handled. But from that point forward, I was like, you know what? He got home, and we set up his enclosure and stuff, and he got home, and like 2 days passed, and I was like, I want my home. So maybe 2 weeks later, I had purchased my first ball python from Morph Market, and not even a month later, I purchased my second. So again, I didn't really have a fear of reptiles. It was just a huge misunderstanding. Like I said, a year ago, you could not have paid me to do anything like this. A petting zoo, I'm not touching any reptiles. I'll view them from a distance. I'll admire somebody else holding them. You could not have paid me to do this, just because I didn't understand, who they are as animals. I didn't realize that these guys have brains to think for themselves, to make their own decisions, to recognize handlers and stuff like that. So, now that I've been working with them for, I'd say a decent amount of time now, I'm very glad that I stepped into this space. So getting over your fear of reptiles in a sense and wanting to get into this space, I'd say just go into it with an open mind, because I definitely went into it with a closed mind until I saw for myself that, okay, there is some room, for expansion here. But yeah, definitely go into it with an open mind. Find yourself a mentor if you can, or because I would say just go into a reptile store and ask, like, oh, can I, try to hold one of your reptiles? They may say yes, they may say no, but if they say yes, I don't think that's the best experience. I'd say do a bunch of research before trying to get hands-on with them, because I feel like that could kind of entice a negative experience in that aspect. So do some reading before interaction when it comes to getting over a fear. Like right now, I have a death fear of spiders. Well, not even spiders, because small ones don't bug me out. But tarantulas, like right now, my skin is crawling. But I want to get to the point where I can get over that. Like, I want to hold one day, but I want it to be like a personal situation. I don't want to just go to a pet shop and be like, oh, can I hold a tarantula? And we're all just looking like, what's going on here? So I want it to be on a personal aspect, but I want to get over that fear. But even at the end of the day, I'll never keep tarantulas. That's just not something I'll work with. But tons of research, tons of reading up on whatever it is that you're afraid of. It may not even be all reptiles. It may be a certain species. But if it is all reptiles, definitely sorry, buddy. Definitely go into it with an open mind, and just be prepared for, anything to happen. Anything bad can happen, and anything great can happen. It just depends on the situation. Like, I could have somebody hold him for their first time, and even though he's never bit, he's never struck, anything can happen. These are still animals at the end of the day. So again, go into it with an open mind and just be prepared for anything. But at the end of the day, take care of your reptiles.